Look at that sun. It's good to be out and good to see the golf course being used by golfers again. Okay, 24mm, Sony's got a new one coming out. Let's have a talk about that. So you may have noticed that the Sony have just brought out a new trilogy of cameras, the 24mm 2.8. They're doing a 40mm 2.5 and a 50mm 2.5, which I don't understand, so I'm not going to talk about them. I don't understand why we need a 40 anyway, but a 50mm 2.5, we've already got quite a few options of 50mm, 1.4, 1.8, 2.8. I don't see a reason to have a 2.5, but anyway, let's talk about the 24mm. Because the 24mm range is a very special range when you talk about lenses, because it's so versatile and for many reasons, and I'm going to give you a few of those today. So here's reason number one. Portrait lenses. Now we've got some like myths about portraiture and what it should be shot on, and I will always say this, that I've always got a 24mm focal range lens in my camera bag for weddings. Always. I've got my 24-70 every time, because I know that whenever I need that environmental portrait shot, the 24mm is actually really good lens. And on my 24-70, which is a G Master lens, the quality is just incredible, absolutely incredible. You just can't get, you have like a 35mm option, which is fantastic. I love my 35mm lens as well, but the 24, there's something special about that. Every time I put it on and I'm taking pictures at 24mm range, you know, you have to understand it's not meant to be like a close-up headshot focal length, because if you start getting really close like this, you start getting a bit of distortion, and that's not really what you want. But certainly for the environmental portraits, for the full-length body shots, 3/4 length body shots, 24mm range, getting the environment in as well, there's something special about that. And placing a subject on a background where you can potentially get a nice blurry background, you know, and that actually means something, rather than a very close-up, you know, 85mm, very close-up, tight-knit sort of headshot, 3/4 length shot. The 24mm range can give you that story that you can't get with another kind of focal length. 35mm, yeah, maybe, but I think the 35mm has got its own thing going on. The 24mm range is a very good range for environmental portraits. Absolutely love it. Street photography. Yeah, I don't really do this a whole lot, and I wish I did it more of it, but if you look at any street photographers out there, there's a few guys I follow on YouTube. A 24mm range in their bag is a necessity for them, because they're always getting that environmental stuff. Again, it does come back to kind of portraiture sometimes, but a lot of street photography doesn't involve portraiture. But the 24mm range is going to get everything in. Everything you need is going to be in the frame. You won't need to do any kind of panoramas or anything like that. You've just got everything in there that you need. And that's, you know, taking a shot and having it done the once is essential for you know, for timings and stuff like that. So you need to have, you know, the versatility of a 24mm in your bag when you're doing street photography. Absolutely. Now, one of my favourites, and you might not think that it's very obvious, but landscape photography. Now, I know everyone vows for either a very wide angle lens, you know, your 10, 14mm, that kind of stuff, get your fisheye lenses out, but actually a 24mm lens is really good for landscapes. And let me tell you for why. Because I use my 24-70 a lot, and I mean tons now. I broke my 10-18, which I was using, you know, all the time. I was using it for vlogging in the end, and it kind of fell over and broke, is what it is. So my 24-70 is on my lens a lot for landscapes, and I mean a lot, and it's always at the 24mm range. And even if I need to go wider, it's still on there, because I'll do a panorama. I'll get a couple of shots in, and it's pretty good because there's a lot less distortion. If I put a 40mm lens on my camera to get everything in one shot, the distortion at the ends is crazy. If I put a 24mm lens on and do a panorama, maybe, I don't know, 4 to 9 shots, something like that, and then stitch them together and light them later, very little distortion. It's a very good little product tip to take away with you if you want to take anything away from this. There's a lot of people around. So yeah, landscape photography, and to be honest, the Sony stuff, even the other stuff, not even the Sony one we're talking about, because I haven't even seen it yet, they're all really good and sharp lenses. Absolutely. And I'll talk about that in a second. Let's move on to the next one. That's quite befitting. Architecture. That's a massive one. Absolutely huge. 24mm for architecture is brilliant because, again, the distortion is very minute. And places like this that are massive, you can get in one shot. And if you can't, you can panorama it, like I said, and get them in a couple of shots and have no distortion. Architecture, even interior, you know, interior design and architecture, massive. 24mm is a very versatile focal length for architecture. Massive. Look at that. A really nice day. And the last one, and probably the most obvious, I think, is events. I use a 24mm focal range at weddings because it's so versatile, and I can do all kinds of everything we've spoken about already. The architecture, the portraiture, the street photography all comes into play with weddings. Weddings are all kinds of photography. You know, you've got food photography, pet photography, all kinds of photography. 24mm lens in your bag is absolutely essential, and I mean absolutely. There's no two ways about it. My 24-70 rarely comes off my camera when I'm running and gunning, making sure I've got everything I need for a wedding. It's just absolutely essential. So for events where you need to get close up and you can't get too far away, all that kind of stuff, a 24mm in your bag is gonna just help you out so much, absolutely so much. You cannot get away from that. It's a big deal. And the thing about this focal range, like I've said, is its versatility. You can't get everything on an 85mm lens. You can't get everything on a 200mm lens. You can't get everything on a 14mm lens. You just can't. But with a 24mm lens, you have opened yourself up to so many different possibilities, so many different areas of photography, just having that one in your bag. That's why I'm not really going to be talking about the new Sony 40mm or 50mm, because we know how good the 50mm is. I just don't see any point of them bringing out another one, a 2.5. And the 40mm range, I've always wondered why it's even there when we've got a 35 and a 50. Anyway, I don't understand the 40mm. Anyway, let's talk about the Sony lens, because there are a few things about it that are good. Some things about it that may not be good. Personally, I think it's going to be a fairly good lens. I think that at the moment we have only a couple of options, and the main one we have, well, we have the G Master. Obviously, we have the Sony G Master 24mm. That's a 1.4. That is going to set you back about £1,300 and about the same in dollars. So that's probably a no-no. There is, of course, a crop sensor 24mm 2.8 from Sony, which I can't remember the price of it. I'll put it down in the screen. But obviously that's a crop sensor lens, so that's going to give you a completely different focal length on a full frame camera. So there'd be really no point in getting that. The other option would be the Tamron. There's a Tamron 24mm 2.8, which has actually got really good reviews. That's only about £250, the same in dollars. So that's a good cheap option. And the new Sony 24mm 2.8 that's coming out, which is a G lens, not a G Master lens, will be about £700, and again the same in dollars. So my advice, if you're going to buy this, I mean, I haven't got a review for the new Sony. I know what the Tamron's like. It's really good. It's really sharp. It's a very nice lens. It's pretty light, although the new Sony's even lighter. But what you will probably find is that the distortion is maybe a little bit more than the Sony's going to be. There'll be a bit of vignetting in there, which I actually don't mind, because you can get rid of those in post-processing quite easily in Lightroom. We'll pick up what lens you're using, and it will redesign your distortion. It will take away the vignette very simply. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. What I am worried about is the focus system on it. It's got a very slow autofocus, so you may struggle if you're a landscape photographer, or if you're doing portraits with the Tamron lens on a Sony. it's going to be a very slow autofocus. If you're using it for landscapes, it's a different matter altogether, because what does it matter? It doesn't matter how slow or how fast the autofocus is. To be honest, most of the time on landscape photography I'm using manual focus, so it doesn't really matter too much if you're going to use it for landscapes. It just all depends on what you're interested in doing with these lenses. Wait till the new one comes out, buy it if you've got the money. It's about £700, same in dollars I think. However, if you want to get a 24mm lens for your Sony FE E-mount lens, I would suggest buying the tan one. Get it second hand, you might even get it even cheaper. It's been out a couple of years, so at the moment new it's about $250. Second hand, God knows, you might be able to get it a lot less than that. Worth having a look, worth having one in your bag. Definite must for anyone who wants to be as versatile in their photography as absolutely possible. Definite. It's always in my bag, although it's on a 24-70, I still have the 24mm range, and that's what it's about. Just FYI, the 24-70 G Master that I have is still a lot of money, so it's a lot of money. This is for people who may want to be on a budget and buy a little bit more creatively, let's say. Right guys and girls, thank you very much for watching. I hope this helped. If it did, please whack a thumbs up. If you are new to my channel and want to subscribe, please do so. You're going to get updates. If you hit the bell, get updates every time I upload a new video. And until the next one, I will see you boys and girls very soon. Bye. Hi, I'm Andy, and I'm here to tell you about my new online landscape photography academy. It's not your traditional online photography course, it's also a mentorship program. Many of you most likely know me from my YouTube channel, and if you enjoy my process of getting an awesome image from the landscape around me, you can learn to do that too. So, how does it work? After signing up for the Landscape Academy, you will immediately receive access to all lectures taking you through every aspect of landscape photography. From beginner courses through to intermediate and onto the more advanced photographic techniques. At the end of each lecture, you'll be provided an assessment to progress you through the steps of creating an appealing image from beginning to end. After submitting each assignment, you will receive a handcrafted personal feedback video on your progress, giving you actionable steps to take your work to the next level. These mentorship sessions continue as you build your skill set from beginner to advanced landscape photography. By the time you finish the course, you will have hours of personal video feedback crafted especially for you. Additionally, the entire Landscape Academy is self-paced and you have a lifetime access to all of the content. So there's no need to worry about deadlines or losing access to the content after an arbitrary amount of time. You may want to skip the Beginner 1 course if you have a basic understanding of photography and a good grasp of camera settings. But if you're an absolute beginner, fear not, this course is designed to get you started from scratch. If you want to sign up and get more information, just click the link below or check out the Academy link on my website.